Michelle, Destination Trekker here. Today we're going to talk about when the absolute worst happens when you're on vacation and some great ways to be prepared for when it does happen. So let me take off my sunglasses here. And no, I don't have a black eye. What ended up happening is, on the way home from Rome, an ink pen exploded in my purse. Obviously, it didn't like the pressurization of the cabin, and I didn't realize it was on my sunglasses. So I actually went around at the store with what looks like a black eye, and people kept looking at me, and I had no idea why. The fact of the matter is, you're gonna always have stuff that just isn't right or isn't perfect on vacation. A lot of it you can laugh it off, like my black eye, but other things you really do need to be prepared for. And we're gonna talk about a little bit of both. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is antibacterial stuff. Now here's the thing with the antibacterial. Most people carry around a little bottle, something like this with the liquid stuff in it. It just kills the germs. If you get the wipes, you can wipe your hands and take the dirt off your hands. You get pooped on by a bird, it'll take the poop off of you. It won't just clean the area. And that's why I prefer the wipes. The next thing is we're gonna talk about medication. A lot of people have medication that just is necessary for their lives to have. Do not, absolutely do not pack this medication in your luggage. And it's best to actually take this medication and put it into 2 different pill bottles. Half of it you keep on yourself, the other half put in your carry-on. That way, if something does happen to your medication, you always have some backup. Your insurance will not work when you're overseas. Their pharmacies are not the same as yours. This means that you have to find a way to get your prescription to a foreign pharmacy and get it filled. This could take days or weeks that your life could depend on it. Do not make this mistake. Split your medicine, that way you can ensure that nothing bad happens to you. The next thing we're gonna discuss, backing up your cell phone and your camera. We all love to take pictures when we're on vacation, but problem is, cell phones and cameras are easy to lose and they're very easy for people to steal. We lose all of our precious photos. So before you go on vacation, take that extra time and back up your camera. Very important to do. And if for some reason you get on vacation and the worst happens, you've only lost the pictures you've just taken. But I'm gonna go a step further than that. I say that if you have your laptop with you, you back up your pictures on your laptop that stays in the hotel room at all times. If you don't have a laptop with you, then you need to start a closed file on Facebook, start a closed file on Instagram or some other site that's just for you. Put your pictures in there. Send your pictures to a close relative or someone you can trust knowing that you are out of town. And that way, you will know that your pictures are safe, even if your phone disappears and even if your camera disappears. Good thing to have on your phone is a lock. Phones store all kinds of personal information. You do not want your phone getting in the wrong hands should you lose it or should it be stolen. So you very much want to consider phone, a password lock, a fingerprint, whatever it takes to ensure your privacy. Next thing we're going to talk about is some other things you should always bring. Band-Aids. Yes, Band-Aids. When you're in a country and they can't speak your language, something as simple as asking for Band-Aids can just turn into a whole mess. I had a pair of shoes in Germany that rubbed my ankles, leaving just a really nasty blister on one. And I went to the front desk at the hotel and attempted to ask them for a Band-Aid. They didn't get it. They wanted to call an ambulance. Last time I ever traveled without Band-Aids. The next is super glue. There's all kinds of things you can use super glue for. But let me show you one of my most recent things. In January at Disney, I had my toe run over by a woman with her baby buggy. It turned black and blue. I was told that the toenail probably wouldn't fall off, but if it did, it'd probably be 6 months down the line. 6 months came in the town. I was so excited. I hadn't lost my toenail, even though it was still pretty darn ugly. Well, sadly, on my last vacation, it cracked, but it cracked really low on the toenail. So now, what do? I could lose my whole toenail. So I ended up taking my toenail that cracked way up in here, and I put super glue across the crack so that it wouldn't crack all the way the rest across. And then I taped it with a Band-Aid. And I'm gonna leave the super glue on and continue to add it on until my toenail grows out enough that I'm actually comfortable coming off at the end, and I'm gonna continue putting Band-Aids around it. Let me tell you, the super glue and the Band-Aids saved my life on my last vacation. There's no way I could have done all the walking that I did without that super glue and that Band-Aid. Always nice to have a couple changes of shoes. If you're bringing nice comfy walking shoes, tennis shoes, a pair of sandals or flip-flops, because you never know when that skin is going to be rubbed off the side of your toe, off your ankle, or something like this is going to happen to your toenail, and you're just going to maybe need a day or two for those toes just to hang out and have a chance to heal. And some shoes, while they might rub a toe, the other pair of tennis shoes may not. So I suggest bringing at least 2 pairs of shoes, if not 3, but make sure they're comfy walking shoes, because on vacations you tend to walk a lot. Next, we're going to talk about emergency contact information. This is when the worst case scenario happens. You want to make sure that you leave copies of all your travel information with a trusted friend or relative. Make sure they have it, because you just never know. If you're traveling to Europe, you want to go to a site called Register Smart Travel. What you're going to be doing is putting in the locations you're going to be at. And they're also going to ask for your passport number as well as a contact information. I know not everyone uses their phones while they're over in Europe, but it's always nice when you travel to ensure that at least one person has a phone activated. That way, if something horrible happens, war breaks out, a terrorist attack, and they need to contact you, they can text you or they can call you and tell you what you need to do in case of an emergency. So it's really important for you to do that. They also have where you can bring down a pull down box. And in the pull down box, it's going to tell you the closest U.S. embassies to you. This is important because not only do you depend on the U.S. Embassy in the case of a real emergency, but if your passport is lost or stolen, you will need to go to the embassy. And not every city has a U.S. Embassy. For example, Florence, Italy does not have a U.S. Embassy. If you need a U.S. Embassy, you have to go up to Milan or down to Rome. And it's important to know that. That way you can get to your closest possible embassy to get the help you need when you need it. The next thing we want to talk about is your passport. The passport is essential. You leave a copy of your passport at home with that trusted friend or relative, because they can fax it to you at the hotel and you can take it to the U.S. Embassy if something happens and it gets lost home. Also, pack an additional copy on yourself or a relative that is going with you, or a family or friend or whatever. Because if you have copies and you can't get a hold of that person at home, and worst case scenario, an emergency has happened, you can get those copies and you can get straight to the embassy. It is the fastest way to go. As far as your passport, when you are traveling, you always want to keep your passport physically on your body. I can't say this enough. Do not pack this in your suitcase. Do not put this in your carry-on bag. Keep it physically in your body. You're gonna have these great little pouches like this. And what you're gonna do is you strap it to you and you wear it under your clothes with your passport in it. You can also separate your money and put some of your money in the pouch. That way not all your money is vulnerable, just being out there in your purse or in your back pocket or wherever. When you get to your hotel, ask about a safe. Most hotels do have a safe in the room. Put your passport in the safe and leave it in the safe. One of the worst things that can happen to you is if something happens to your passport while you're in a foreign country. You don't want that to happen. So make sure you keep your passport safe. And the same with money. I just touched base on that. You want to make sure that your money is safe. You can keep some of it out, easy access, in a front pocket, in your purse, whatever. Other money you will want to hide on your body and you will want to put inside a safe because you just never know. And you don't want to be caught in a foreign country without your money. And most countries, they only accept cash. Now, many are starting to use the chip credit cards, but this is still relatively new in the US, so not all credit cards have been changed over the chip. So what happens if your purse is stolen or your wallet is stolen and your credit card is in there? With your other copies of information that you have left at home and with the copy of your passport that you are keeping in a separate location, you are going to have a copy of the back of your credit card. Why? So if something happens and your credit cards are stolen, you can pull out the number that is listed on the back of your credit card. You can call and let them know to cancel your credit card. It's important to have all these numbers in a separate location. You need to make sure that you're able to cancel them and cancel them quick before somebody takes advantage of what they could have taken or found of yours. Okay, now we're going to discuss the debit card. We love the ATM in this country. We go by, put the card in, we get our money. The problem is with getting your money mover card, your ATM card, your bank card, whatever you want to call it, stolen is. This money is directly out of your account. If they wipe your money out, you are broke. You can sometimes have to wait for a month or two to get this money returned to you. So if you've lost your bank card and you've lost your cash and you've lost your credit card, you are in trouble. Leave your bank card at home. If you're worried you're gonna need extra money, more cash than you took, call your credit card company, the chip card. Ask them for a PIN number where you can take cash advance from your credit card. Then use your credit card to access more cash. Do not take your bank card. Don't do it. Leave it at home. Protect yourself. Make sure when you're planning your vacations, you double check the dates, especially when you're moving from city to city and you have a lot of tour plans. Sometimes you can just go ahead and you pick a date and you set it and then you find out, I already have something planned that day. So make sure several weeks before you go, you double check all your dates, whether that's putting everything in a calendar or writing everything in order on a sheet of paper. Make sure every date is in order and you're actually gonna be at each location and all those dates are available. It's always best to double check, especially when you're out of town and especially when money is involved. I know we've talked about some really serious things and traveling is lots and lots of fun, but sometimes the travel gods have just decided that it's your turn to be their sacrifices and stuff just goes wrong. It's better to be prepared and know what to do when things go wrong than to end up letting it just destroy your life, your fun, and your vacation. So remember, when little things go wrong, just laugh it off. When big things go wrong, it's okay because you're prepared and you know what to do. So happy travels. Don't forget to like my Facebook page, Destination Trackers, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on my blog. Have a nice day. Bye.